There are a lot of great mini synthesizers, but in today's BoBeats synth video we are checking out what is probably my favorite mini synthesizer. This is the KORG NTS-1 MK2. And as always, a big thank you to KORG who sent over the NTS-1 so I could make this here video for you all. So what has KORG actually improved with the MK2 NTS-1? First up, they've added an 8-step sequencer. Nice. Another super synth nerdy update to it is that you can now use external audio to modulate the NTS-1 oscillators either through FM, AM or ring modulation. So we have a little ARP here running on the NTS-1 and I've connected the Solar 42 into the audio input, but we're not using the NTS-1 as an effects unit. Instead, it's sending its oscillators here as a source for frequency modulation. Third, they've added a MIDI out. Fourth, they've gone from micro USB to USB-C. And in terms of oscillators, they've added a noise oscillator, so I guess that's number 5. But the most surprising hardware update to me comes in the form of a little speaker. And I'm not sure what number we're on anymore, but they've also added more effects, distortion and fuzz. Made changes to the delay and added more reverbs as well. So this is how my MK2 arrived, and from the look of it, it's a much simpler DIY project than the MK1. And if you're like me and you're struggling with basic DIY, this should be fairly simple. So let's start by snapping the pieces, and I'm always so anxious about this step here. It just feels so very, very wrong. Oh, and look here, you even got a Volca-sized screwdriver with it. And please do not view this as an actual tutorial of how to assemble this. Does this even fit in here? Okay, so far maybe so good. And I think I'm supposed to break these corners here as well. So here goes. Man, these tiny screws here are killing me, even with my tiny hands. So now I just pushed everything together. Inputs and outputs seem to align. Look here, I'm a professional. Yes, it turns on, okay. So if you're not familiar with NTS-1, here's a quick walkthrough. I will say that the little keyboard here is very sensitive. I didn't use the keyboard on the NTS-1 MK1 a lot. I had a MIDI keyboard connected because playing using this keyboard here it's doable in a pinch, but it's not something that I recommend. So if you press oscillator, we can change the sound of the synth. So you have 2 controls here. So we have shape control and a sub oscillator. And these vary depending on what oscillator you have. You can also load user oscillators. That's one of the big things here. And a new addition, I do believe, for the MK2 is that there will be a librarian software. I have not been able to use it. It's not available yet, but it seems interesting and useful. And another new addition to the MK2 is the noise oscillator. We have width control as well as peak. So here's an example with a new noise oscillator running into a low-pass filter, and then we have the fuzz here. Running into a stereo delay, and the new smooth reverb. And let's go for a looped envelope. And all of these buttons have secondary functions, so you just hold it down, it says LFO here. So now we can set the speed of the LFO here, and we can set the target. Either we go for pitch, or we go for shape. So another big change to the oscillator section here of the NTS-1 that I mentioned briefly earlier is that you can hold down OSC here, and you can select mode here, and select FM, AM, or ring modulation. And if we have FM here, for example, we can set the level. And now, when we send something, we get a totally different sound. So I'm just triggering different oscillators here on the Solar 42 and sending that audio and using that as a source for frequency modulation. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It's an interesting way of using this. So let's move over to the filter, and here we have different low pass, band pass, and high pass filters. And if you hold down the filter button, we can modulate filter. And if we go with your envelope generator, we have attack and release. There's also multiple different modes. And my favorite EG mode is the looped one, because you can make almost like delay effects with it. Or reversed sounding sounds. Which, if we skip ahead to the reverb here is very nice. We have multiple different types here. One of the new ones is the smooth reverb that we heard previously. And another hidden function is, if I hold EG, I can actually add tremolo. And so that it's easier to hear the tremolo. Here we can see. And go into like frequency modulated territory and go very slow. And if we go here to mod, we can introduce a mod effect, and one of the new ones is the fuzz. Pretty heavy distortion. Hey, why not add some reverb to it? Okay, maybe a bit much with that one. Phaser and other nice mod effects. But you've heard mod effects before, so let's go back to the fuzz, because I thought it introduced a lot of character, and let's add a delay. You can get a real monster sound out of this tiny little synth. So those are the basic sound shaping tools. Then we have the arpeggiator and the sequencer. So we enter sequencer recording mode here by holding down the sequencer button. And now we can place a step, and this knob here sets the gate time, and this knob here sets the velocity of that step. So now we can play the sequence by pressing the sequencer button. And I can hold down sequencer and change the play mode. So reversing, bouncing, and I do believe that this is called stochastic or random. also, let me just change up the sound a bit. We can also transpose the sequence. And when the sequencer is playing, you can hold down the button and turn this knob here to change the length of all steps. Or rather gate time, I suppose it is. And you have tempo. So if we are in step record mode, we can also, by holding sec here and ARP, delete all the steps. Now I do have a bit more to share about the synth here, but first a quick word from today's sponsor, DistroKid. Releasing your music shouldn't be difficult, and using DistroKid is super easy and is a fast and reliable way of getting your tracks onto Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal and other relevant stores. And one thing that I really like is that you pay once a year and then you can upload unlimited amounts of music. One feature that I really like is the hyperfollow feature. So when you've uploaded your music, you get a custom page. DistroKid does this automatically. On that page are links to where people can find your music in different stores. You can just share that one link instead of sharing like multiple links to different stores. So it's just a place where everything's gathered. So if you want to go and check out DistroKid, use my link in the description. You not only support my channel, but you also get a discount. So go and check it out. Next up we have the arpeggiator. Press here. We can hold down the button to latch it. And if we hold it down, we can change the playback. For example, down, up, down, or why not random? There's multiple different playback options. We can also change BPM. And the number of steps in the sequence. And also, slow it down a bit more and go to EG here. I want to do looped. We can also do different scales. So we have octave here, for example. We have major, major suspended, major augmented, minor triad, and minor diminished. Now, one of the absolute best reasons to get an NTS-1 is that it can be used as an external effects processor, so you don't have to use it as a synth, even though it's quite a capable little mono synth. So we could, for example, use the filter and add, let's see here, and add some ensemble chorus, some delay, and some reverb. We'll go for that crazy new horror one. So last in today's video, I just want to ask the question, are you as excited as I am about the KORG NTS-1 Mark II? Let us know down in the comments, or give a suggestion of another mini synthesizer that people should check out. As always, thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.